Hello and welcome to our monthly career webinar hosted by Community Career Promoter. This is a place for sharing career advancement tips and experiences. And if you're tuning in live and haven't already done so, please, by all means, if you're tuning in from Zoom, let us know your full name and where you're tuning in from in the chat box so that we can greet you in the chat. These webinars take place on the second Thursday of each month at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So be sure to mark your calendars for the upcoming webinars that you see on your screen on June 10th as well as July 8th. Now, the monthly career webinar features a career success story by an invited guest from our professional community. Career success stories are a source of inspiration for the professional advancement of attendees like you. And this webinar is intended for those who are seeking career advancement, whether you're an entry-level professional, mid-level professional, a job seeker, a retiree, or a student. We encourage you to stay tuned for today's powerful insights, powerful success stories, strategies, tips, and takeaways that can help you to advance your career. But first, we'd like to formally introduce the host organization for this webinar, Community Career Promoter. Community Career Promoter inspires career advancement seekers to achieve their highest human potential. We connect career advancement seekers with local career resources, and we serve people who seek career advancement. So for more information, visit us online at www.communitycareerpromoter.org or via social media. Search for the handle @CareerNow on YouTube for the recording of this webinar when it becomes available. Now, we at Career Promoter want to share a valuable resource with you. And you might be surprised to know that it has been right under your nose all this time, right in your community, waiting for you or someone you know to take advantage of career advancement opportunities. It's the American Job Center. So if you or someone you know is seeking career opportunities, whether they're a family member, a frenemy even, go ahead and send them to your nearest American Job Center. There are thousands of American job centers across the nation with a host of resources and opportunities and connections for the communities that they serve. And not only are local centers open and serving the community, even in the pandemic, they are open online 24/7, no matter where you are in the world. So to find your nearest American Job Center, visit the virtual job center at www.careeronestop.org, which you now see on your screen. At the virtual job center, you can explore careers, find trainings, search for jobs, find local career help, and more. So again, visit www.careeronestop.org for all of these valuable resources. Now, these enriching monthly Career Promoter webinars would not be possible without the support of our sponsors. So we now share a few details about our sponsor organizations. And as we share, if you're tuning in from Zoom, feel free to take a screenshot of the companies and organizations that you would like to connect with. Now, our first co-sponsor is Addis Solutions. Addis Solutions provides digital marketing services, including website development, print and online promotional materials, online marketing and advertising, and more. So for more information, visit www.addis.solutions.com. Our next co-sponsor is Addis Promo Club LLC, an international business promoter providing promotional services for B2B global networking, top-level music promotion, and nonprofit promotion. For more information, visit Azeb Telele, that's A-Z-E-B, Telele, T-E-L-E-L-E, promoclub.com. Our next co-sponsor is Benjamin Preston LLC, founded by the author of the book Harness Your Butterflies, Mr. Benjamin Preston. Benjamin Preston LLC provides businesses with marketing, strategy, and management consulting services. With experience in a range of industries and clients ranging from startups to billion-dollar businesses, Benjamin Preston's strategic approach to business will help your business scale quickly and efficiently. Services include professional development, career coaching, business consulting, and operational and marketing support. Visit benjaminpreston.com for more information. Our next co-sponsor is Icat Professional Services, an organization that is committed to making your people and data greater. Icat Consulting is your partner for professional development, talent source, data analytics, and societal impact. Service offerings include Career Academy, outsourcing, staffing, and recruitment, applied data analytics, and social enterprise. To learn more about Icat Consulting, visit www.icat.net. Our next co-sponsor is Impact Management and IT Solutions. This organization provides simplified solutions, management services from start to completion, information technology services from basic to complex based on customers' needs. So for more information, visit www.impactmits.com. And our final co-sponsor, and I might be a bit biased on this one, my favorite, is my company, the Professionista LLC. The Professionista LLC brings your brand to life with creative storytelling and communication strategies that connect with your audience. From virtual events to in-person experiences, the company's founder, yours truly, speaks life into your content and your strategy in a way that is compelling, enriching, and memorable. The Professionista LLC provides brand storytelling, communication strategy, empowerment keynotes, and voice-over artistry. Because, hey, what's a communication strategy without the right voice to deliver it? So if your organization needs the right voice, a powerful voice, to carry your message to the market in a way that is memorable and compelling, go ahead and text your organization's name and the word voice to 678-694-7763 today. We so appreciate our illustrious sponsors, and we couldn't provide this service to our professional community without them. So we thank them for their support. And for those of you who are joining us live via Zoom, you have several webinar tools that you can use to enhance your experience. And we invite you to engage in the chat and share any questions, comments, suggestions, and more that you may have. If time permits, and we're able to open the floor for Q&A, you may raise your hand virtually to ask a question or use the unmute feature to ask your question live when you're called upon. We do ask on Zoom that all video remains off throughout the webinar and audio remain on mute unless you are called on to speak. Keeping the video and audio set to the off setting helps us to keep the focus on the presentation at hand, and so we thank you in advance for honoring these standards. And if you're joining us from the Zoom mobile app or desktop site, the place to make your presence known is in our chat. Let us know what you think of the webinar in the chat area, and we appreciate your feedback and thank you for it in advance. If you're tuning in from Clubhouse, by all means, when we reach the Q&A segment of this webinar, you're welcome to raise your hand and ask our illustrious guest a question. And if you joined by dialing in from your phone via Zoom, we encourage you to update your Zoom settings to display your name and city instead of your phone number so that we can acknowledge you. Now, let's jump right into the main event, today's career success story. Today's success story is Sophia Bushen. Sophia Bushen is an accomplished and multi-dimensional young professional based in the state of Maryland who is making a powerful impression in her industry and community. Sophia is a passionate youth mentor, a dedicated social justice advocate, an emerging leader in the healthcare space, and a skilled life coach. She is the founder of GPS Guide LLC, a life coaching agency providing career and academic coaching for new and established professionals alike. And she also currently leads the inpatient medical coding team at MedStar Health. Sophia is a graduate of the University of Maryland School of Law, where she earned her Master's of Science in Healthcare Law. While pursuing her master's in healthcare law, she worked on various projects that dealt with both healthcare regulatory and statutory analysis and policy recommendations. These projects include healthcare reform for undocumented immigrants under the Affordable Care and Medicaid Acts, as well as the racial impact of unconscious bias on mental health care access and treatment disparities among African American women. Sophia is also committed to community matters, serving as a member of the Silver Spring Citizen Advisory Board, or SSCAB, where she was recently elected vice chair, as well as service on the Community Recovery Advisory Group, or CRAG, as well as the Ethiopian community. In 2020, the Montgomery County Renters Alliance Board of Directors unanimously voted in support of the nomination of Sophia as its newest member. She is truly a woman to watch in her field, and we are honored to have her share her story, her career success story, in her own words. So please join me in welcoming to the Career Promoter virtual stage, Miss Sophia Bushen. Hello, Sophia.
Hello, Judy. Good evening. Thank you for having me.
It's so good to have you here. How are you feeling today?
I'm doing wonderful. It's beautiful outside. So,
It is. The weather is pretty amazing.
yes.
So I must say, even as I was reading through your bio and really just had an opportunity to connect with you, we just recognize that you've achieved quite a bit in your career. So hats off to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate
Yes,
that.
yes. So my first question is, what would you say has been your proudest professional moment?
I would say my proudest professional moment is when I decide to make a career change from healthcare service to public service, specifically equity advocacy. So I had to go back to school to earn my law degree. So that was the most challenging period of my life because I had to work full time. And also, even if I was going school part time, I had to navigate between those two because it's like the work is a lot. The work was a lot. So I had to make sure that both of them, my work and my school is balanced. So it was about challenging, but eventually I came through it. I made it. So when I graduate, uh, actually I graduated in honor. So that has been my proudest professional moment. And also, as an immigrant from Ethiopia, it has not always been easy to pursue my dreams because being immigrant and coming to the United States, it has its own unique challenge. So I would also say my proudest professional moments are when I achieve my professional goals. I say to myself, despite various challenges I have faced. Most importantly, I actually recently learned to celebrate my journey, even for trying and failing. So that is that.
Love that. Love that. So what would you say when you think through all of the different things that you've accomplished in your career?
Right.
What would you say are your top, your most memorable, your top milestones or the turning points in your career?
It's it's three of them. So the first one is when I decided to become a medical coder because the profession has a high learning curve. So right after I earned my bachelor's in health information management, this company was taking new students, but we had to get the training virtually. So everything was virtually. And specifically, the inpatient coding was very, very challenging I actually failed 3 times because they had to do like quality score. I failed 3 times. Even some of my colleagues who were hired at the same time gave up gave up on this profession and went to another department. But I stick through it. So luckily, I was given another opportunity. I was reading, I was studying even off work. So that kind of helps me to pass through the learning curve. So I would say this is the most important milestone in my career because it gave me, now we are in a pandemic, most of us are working from home. But back then in 2014, I was able to work from home. I was able to have like a flexible schedule. So setting my own hours and working from home, it allowed me to have more time to go back to school, right? And then also build my business. And then the second milestone, I would say pursuing my healthcare law degree in order to transition my career from healthcare service to advocacy. I always wanted to be a lawyer. Even some of my friends suggested I should be a lawyer. However, I did not pursue my dream in part because when I came to the United States, my parents were older and I had to depend on myself financially to go back to school. So back then I thought, oh, okay, law school is gonna take me a while. So I decided to take a shortcut, which is healthcare. Healthcare is always in demand. So I said, okay, let me take a shortcut. However, I kept in my mind one day I knew I would go back to law school to pursue my law degree. And the third milestone is definitely pursuing life coaching business. So I'll go in detail later with that. So those are the
Okay.
three major milestones. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I love that you brought up your advocacy work. I think that's definitely something we want to hear more about. What would you say are some of the issues that you are most passionate about, that you're most vocal about right now that may not get as much coverage on the news, but we definitely need to know about right now? Tell us about that.
So as you stated earlier, I am a board member for Montgomery County Renter Alliance. Uh, the Renter Alliance advocates for policies that increase rent, advocates for policies that increase the rental housing, affordability, quality, and stability. So currently, I'm vocal and very passionate about renter eviction, specifically during the COVID-19 pandemic. So eviction are frequently occurrence among renters in America. Women, people of color, and families with children most of the time are especially high risk for eviction, right? And then the COVID pandemic has put more US renters at risk than ever before, right? And then normally eviction in general disproportionately affect low income people of color, and then it has a health consequence. So eviction has a health consequence, which is like a spread of COVID. So some of you may know, but last week the federal judge vacates CDC nationwide eviction protection. So I'm really passionate right now. So this Renter Alliance Advisory Board is advocating to keep the Maryland eviction protection to stay still, to be in effect. So that's the most, I don't think if you guys know about this issue, but eviction has been the highlight of my advocacy.
Do you mind sharing a story of maybe someone that you've worked with who, of course, you can keep their names anonymous,
Right.
but just so we can get an understanding of the impact of these evictions, do you mind sharing a story of someone you may be working with?
Sure, not directly I'm working with, but definitely, when we have these meetings, we share stories that the executive director shares stories. So one story that really stood out to me is this person tried to, because each state has their own federal fund or state fund, federal and state fund to help this individual pay their rent, especially if they lost their job. And this person is very consistent with the rent payment while they were working. But during COVID, this person was, unemployed and was on unemployment, and it was not sufficient. The income was not sufficient to pay the monthly payment. So, and then there is a waiting period, right? When you apply in the state, there is a waiting period. There's a lot of people applying for this assistance. So while this person was on the waiting list, the apartments wanted to evict, because some apartments work with you and some apartments would not work with you, right? So this person was about to be evicted. So this renter alliance had to come forward and advocate for this person. And definitely there are far more stories like this. So I would say this is the most important issue right now in my advocacy.
Absolutely. I mean, especially when we think of families being displaced and how it disproportionately affects people of color, that really is an important issue to be aware of. So we thank you for the work that you're doing in that space. It's definitely important.
Thank you.
Yes.
I guess somehow I do believe we owe to our community, because it takes a community, it takes a village for us to be, who we are and the things we wanted to accomplish. It takes a village and a community. So I'm humbled to serve.
Yes. And that's so true. That's so true. I love that saying. It really does take a village. Yes. And another area that another thing that you're incredibly passionate about is, the next generation that you're reaching through your mentorship and your coaching. So, tell us a little bit about what led you to pursue life coaching as a career pursuit.
You ready for my story?
So ready for it.
Okay. So the year 2014 was lowest point in my life. I did not want to numb myself with temporary solutions. So I went on the journey of self-discovery and healing for about 2 years, 2015, 2016. Normally, I don't prefer focusing on the problem, so I would rather navigate ways to solve my own problems. Because I always believe if I can solve a problem, no matter how big the problem is, I'm in control. So subsequently, I started reading several books, attend several life coaching workshops, listen to podcasts. So this process has helped me awaken my inner self towards gaining clarity and answers to my biggest why. So this process not only answered some of my life questions, but also gave me a roadmap to my career path. So eventually, my life's lowest moments brought me closer to my higher purpose, which is life coaching. So eventually, I decided to use my own personal experience, the tool I have used to help others to succeed. So that's my short story.
Yes. And the name of your company, it's there's an acronym there, GPS. Can you tell us what that means?
Okay. GPS stands for G, gratitude, P, prosperity, S, self-acceptance. So GPS I did not want to use like the GPS. So I rather I chose to use the acronyms. So GPS guide stems from the concept of GPS. So as you all know, GPS help you to get where you are going from point A to point B, right? GPS does not control point A and point B. It doesn't give you where to start and where to go. Drivers must enter where they are and their destination. So the primary purpose of GPS is to guide us with the shortest routes and help driver get back on track when we get lost or miss the direction. So my coaching business utilize similar analogy. So my business does not tell clients what to do in order to achieve their goals. My role as a career and academy coach is to ask the right question that helps clients gain clarity and get to their aha moments. And in addition, my business guide and empowers and encourage clients to continue pursuing their goal. So that is where the whole GPS guide come from. And also, I do have a slogan for it. So self-acceptance is the beginning of every success. So that's the slogan. And also, GPS guide strongly believes that gratitude changes the way we see circumstance and result we attract in our life. And GPS guide also believes everyone is an asset and prosperity of his or her community as well as personal life, because self-value is ingredient for success in life. So that's pretty much where GPS come from.
Love that so much. And as a career coach, your job, your focus is to offer the career advancement advice that your clients need, even with the different sayings and everything that goes into how you serve them. It's such a valuable service. So what would you say, have been the best insightful career tips that someone else has given to you that you've received in your career?
Definitely venture out of my comfort zone and take calculated risk. So I know most of the time we'll say, go ahead and take a risk, but at the same time, we have to calculate our risk, because just taking a risk without calculating actually may result permanent damage to whatever we're trying to pursue. So definitely venturing out of my comfort zone and take calculated risk, because what you're looking for is on the other side of your comfort zone.
So true.
Yeah.
So true. I love that.
And also over the years, failure is actually our superhero. I mean, not superhero, superpower. Because life is 10% what happens to you and 9% how you react to your failure, right? So for me, I've learned, for me, failure is not what's not happening for me. It's more of what I am gaining in what I am losing. So more of what door has opened for me near the closed doors.
I like that.
Yes. And then the other one is work harder than those around you for two reasons. The first one is, like, if we have a talent, so let's say if I have a talent, it could be easy it might take me less time to become very good at what I'm doing. But however, if I don't have that talent, but if I really wanted to pursue that job, a career, whatever skill I'm trying to pursue, if I work harder than those around me, that will accommodate the talent when the talent does not work. And also, the second reason we have to work hard more than the people around us is because we live in the world of competition, right? And working harder than those around us will place us at the forefront of this competition, because we'll add more values to our profile. As a result, we become an asset or a prize to our employer on our employer, and then eventually really anybody cannot afford us, cannot afford losing us. So, and then the last one, but not the least, is tripling down on my strengths.
So not
I used
doubling
to,
down, but tripling down. I like it. Tell us more. Tell us more.
because I used to focus so much on my weakness, meaning it's like, oh my gosh, I can do that. I cannot do this. How can I fix that? We tend to focus more of what we cannot do and on what we lack thereof, right? And then we spend our more time judging ourselves for what we lack and focus on fixing our weakness. So we should not forget to leverage on our strengths. So if we leverage and work more on our strengths, we can accommodate for our weakness. Meaning, like we can find other resource. Because let's say if I'm not good at, let's say I'm building website, right? I'm trying to build website, and I'm not really like internet savvy or computer savvy, right? So what I can do is I can hire someone, or I can have someone help me, because that's not really my good spot. But what I can do is I can focus on my strongest skill, and then become more productive of what I'm doing. So those are the best insightful career tips.
Love it. So I've been wanting to touch on something that you mentioned earlier on in the interview,
Right.
because I do believe that myself personally, and maybe even others in the audience can identify with this, and I think it would be um, really helpful to hear how you dealt with it. You mentioned that back in 2014 you went through a difficult time,
Yes.
and you didn't necessarily want it to stay in that place. But if you don't mind, if you could delve a bit more into what that time was like for you, right? Because we're human. We go through
Right.
those seasons that are tough, that are challenging, that we wonder if we're going to make it to the other side of it.
Right.
And so it's always really enriching to hear how people overcome those seasons of their lives and the lessons that they learn. So if you don't mind sharing and digging a bit more into that, what brought that low point on? Where did that come from for you, and how did you overcome it?
Definitely, it was more of a personal experience that I went through, and
Hmm.
I can tell you what that it feels like. Definitely, I never wanted to be in that place, meaning because from that you lose part of you, but at the same time you gain a new version of yourself. So I'm I mean, it's crazy to say this, but I am very grateful. I am very, very, very grateful, because sometimes we needed that experience. We need that experience to bring the best out of us, because it's like a rebirth of yourself. Yes, you get to be born once, but when you have these experiences, if you use it for your own benefit, it actually brings the new version of you. It actually births the beautiful version of you, and then like you have light, and then you get to see your light, your own light. So I think that's what I would say.
Yeah, it reminds me of that statement that we're all familiar with. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That what's on the other side of that, like you
Definitely.
said, it's a more beautiful side of you, that you get to see the light and see things in a whole new way. So
Yeah.
very true.
And also I would add, I'm gonna say this. I would not be who I am today if it was not for that experience.
Um,
Because if you ask me, who would I be without that experience? I probably would say not my best. I mean, I know it's crazy to say that, but it just brought the best version of myself. So yeah, I really appreciate that I came out of it, and yeah.
And you're even helping us through our journeys by just sharing it, you know. And I'm sure that even some of the wisdom that you offer your coaching clients
Mhm.
came in the form of some of those tough lessons, from
Oh
those
yeah.
challenges, from mistakes that you may have made, you know, in your career journey. So
Mhm.
what would you say are some of the career lessons that you learned the hard way?
Huh. That's a very good question. I would say progress precedes perfection. So I tend to be hard. I tend to be hard on myself. I would say I am perfectionist, but I had to learn because sometimes, you know, we wait for the perfect time, the perfect opportunity. Like I wanted to get things like right, perfect before I take on the next action. But that's not the case because I have over the years I've learned while I am doing that, I might miss the opportunity. Right? When I'm waiting for the perfect time, actually the opportunity is there. So what I've learned is to, yes, I'm gonna make a mistake. Yes, I'm gonna fail, but learning to appreciate the journey, and actually you can adjust. You can adjust from your failure. You can make corrections. So let's say if you are providing service, and then if you don't feel comfortable at the beginning, just go ahead and just do it. Do not wait to be perfect. So that is my biggest lesson, I would say.
Awesome. Awesome. I can definitely identify with that as a recovering perfectionist, a former perfectionist. I don't identify as one anymore, but yeah, just, you know, making it happen, not focusing on perfection, and just getting it to a place where you're just making progress. It makes all the difference.
Definitely.
Mhm.
Yes.
So, you know, if you could go back to when you first started your career, or even, you know, right at the beginning, and speak with your younger self from when you first got started, what advice would you give to your younger self at the beginning of your career, knowing what you know now?
Do not be afraid of your light.
Tell us more. Tell us more.
So, well, okay. So I knew I had so much to offer. I knew I have so much to offer. So every time I'm out there, I used to be afraid of shining. Shining, not in terms of having ego, showing off, no. But I had to be out there to even to make known of what I can do and what I can offer to people. But I was afraid of my talent, meaning like, oh my gosh, it's like it's so bright. I can do so much. I can do so much. It just scares me. So definitely I would tell myself to not be afraid of your lights, because it's our light, not our darkness, that most frighten us. So, and just be okay with shining.
Oh, yes, don't dim your light. In fact, you inspire others to shine brighter when you allow yourself to shine as well. I am such a believer in that, and I'm
Yeah.
so glad you said that.
I think that comes with perfection. I think it aligns with perfection, right? Because oh my gosh, would I mess up? Would I do it right? So I guess it goes hand in hand.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in the space of career, right? You've accomplished quite a bit, but I'm sure there's still some things that you'd like to get some answers on yourself. So what would you say is, do you have any career related questions that you're still seeking answers on? Who knows, your future mentor might be in the audience. So is there anything that you're still, you're looking for the answers for?
So as you have mentioned earlier, I do a lot of things, right? So over the years, I've learned that doing a lot of things at the same time would not make you successful, right? It's very important that I have to focus on one thing to excel. So definitely my question is, how do I do that? So how do I balance this? And in addition, how do I balance career, social life, and the side business? And most importantly, would I miss what's important in life in the pursuit of these goals? And my last question is whether I have lived up to my full potential. So those
Mhm.
are my questions.
Yeah, so any potential mentors out there who may be listening, and to see how bright Sophia is, if you haven't any answers to those questions, how do you strike that balance between work and the other aspects of your life? I feel as though that's a timeless question. We all want answers to that question. So so yes, how can the people in our audience, whether it's your future mentor or your future mentee, someone who may want to work with you, as someone who's seeking your coaching services, how do they connect with you after this event? How can they contact you?
I can be reached at my email address, gpsguide40@gmail.com. And also, I can be reached at with my work number, 301-244-9212. And also, I have, I'm on social media. So I will put that in the chat box if that is okay.
By all means, please do. Go for it. Go for it. So again, for those of you who may want to connect with Sophia, maybe whether, in the capacity of a mentor to work with her, she's so full of light and so full of potential, or someone who is seeking her services. Feel free to reach out to her by phone at 301-244-9212, or by email at gpsguide40@gmail.com. She's also on Instagram at Your Confident Life Coach. So
Confident, yeah. Mhm.
confident with an A. Uh, um, so feel free to connect with her via Instagram if that's your preferred mode of connection. And at this time, we'd love to open up for any questions that from the audience, for those of you who are tuning in live, whether by Zoom or from Clubhouse. Feel free to raise your hand and we will call on you from the chat. Now, it seems as though we do already have a few questions in the chat. One being a question for you, Sophia.
Yes.
Why your interests? Why are your interests are so diverse? How do you maintain a balance in your diverse activities at this time? Which is so interesting because you just asked for tips on that.
So why is my interest is why are my interests so diverse? I pursue everything that sparks my heart. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, I like to do this. I think I like this. And then I'll go ahead and pursue it. And because it's just I think that's the whole point of living. Just to fully enjoy, to fully pursue what I wanted to pursue. So I think I hope that answer your question. And then how do I maintain balance with this diverse activities? Definitely timing. So most importantly, I take time for myself, self-care, because it's, if I'm not healthy, if I'm not well taken care of, I cannot serve others, right? So definitely I take time for self-care. And also like the first thing I wake up in the morning, I have a to-do list. First, I pray, meditate, and then I write down my to-do list. So to-do list is game changer because that keeps you on track. And definitely getting less distracted and deep work. So deep work seems like the topic of this generation and the generation of internet because we are always connected on Facebook, Instagram. I mean, a lot of apps, right? So definitely setting aside our connection with the world. It could be switching off your phone, disconnecting from everything, and then just deep work makes me very, very productive. So, yeah.
So I want to ask more about your approach to deep work. How do you get to a place where you're able to really hone in and focus in a world filled with so many distractions at every turn? Like, what is your approach to deep work?
So, definitely on my phone, I have this setting. It's called well-being. So what does that do is, so let's say I got on Instagram, right? Just, because it become a habit, right? And then within few minutes, it would just shut it down. So it just shut it down because that, for me, that's a reminder you had to get back to work. So that's one thing. So another thing is I completely shut my phone off. And then I set time, okay, from, like, for example, I'm working, right? And then from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., like I wanted to do like deep work. So I turned my phone off. I turned my email, not my work, but my personal emails off. And then from 8 to 12 is deep work with no distraction. So, and then I guess it takes discipline, I guess, to change your habit. They said it takes 20 days, right? So definitely it's been working for me. So, and don't judge yourself if you fail in the midst of it, because that's part of life. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it takes time to really build those really strong habits. So
yeah.
it's always good to hear how other people, approach something that's such a common issue. I know even for me, there's um I recently switched to iPhone, but prior to I was an Android girl for many, many, many years, and I'm a big fan of the Samsung Note. It actually has a setting where you can it's called focus mode, and it's built into the phone. It's not an app that you have to download, and I love the fact that you can select what apps are still functional, and it shuts down all the others. So text messages and apps that are very notification heavy, you can disable those, or at least the notifications from them, so that you can actually focus. Focus really is it's a luxury, it would almost seem these days. So yeah,
I know, right?
yeah, every little strategy helps, every little tool helps. So thank you for that. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for sharing your powerful story, the work that you're doing in the advocacy space, life coaching, in healthcare, and so much more. It's really and truly inspiring to see a young woman such as yourself who's accomplishing so much and so vocal for those who don't have a voice. So we appreciate and we honor the work that you do.
Thank you.
Yes, and we also want to thank our amazing guests, our audience who, have joined us from, every corner of the earth. We are international here at Community Career Promoter, and we want to thank you for joining us, whether live or on the replay for this webinar. Again, a special thanks to Miss Sophia Bushen. Again, a woman who is a one to watch in healthcare, in social justice advocacy, and as a leader for the next generation and more. So we thank you again, Sophia, and we look forward to, another incredible story that we will have to share here on the virtual stage at Community Career Promoter. We look forward to having our next guest as well. And we invite you to join us for the next live edition of this webinar. Again, we do this in service to our professional community. And so we invite you back to tune in however you see best, whether it's via Zoom, on Clubhouse, or your preferred method of tuning in. We appreciate your feedback and your engagement in the chat. And we look forward to having you on the next edition of this success story webinar. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for tuning in and lending us your ear. We invite you to join us again the second Thursday of every month, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our upcoming webinars, our upcoming broadcasts are taking place on June 10th and July 8th. So be sure to mark your calendars now and join us in the same place, same space, same time for the next edition of the Community Career Promoter Career Success Story. Thank you for joining us and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, Jodi, for having me. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Sophia. It's been a pleasure.
All right.
Take care.